Good morning, everyone that is attending our basic record keeping for our beginning gardeners. It is also part of our natural resource fair. Thank you for joining us today, this morning. To begin with, the Arizona Native American Producer Success Project, NAPS 7, is a collaborative effort between Developing Innovation, Navajo Education, the New Mexico Cooperative Extension Service, the NAPS College Land Grants Office. The project is funded by USDA's Office of Partnership and Public Engagement, Outreach and Assistance for Socially Disadvantaged Veteran Farmers and Ranchers program. The goal of the Arizona NAPS 7 project is to increase the profitability and long-term sustainability of Navajo farmers and ranchers. To achieve this goal, activities in 4 key areas are being undertaken: to improve Navajo farm and ranch operations, to increase Navajo farmer rancher knowledge of and access to available programs and technical assistance provided by the United States Department of Agriculture, the Bureau of Indian Affairs, the Navajo Nation, the New Mexico Cooperative Extension Service, and the NAPS College Land Grant Office, and others, to facilitate Navajo farmer and rancher use of USDA's Natural Resource Conservation Service, Farm Service Agency, and Risk Management Agency programs, to strengthen the organizational capacity of the Navajo Farmer Rancher Congress to address the current and future needs of Navajo farmers and ranchers. So this record-keeping booklet was put together by myself, Sadie Lister, and Sharon Sandman. Our introduction today is as part of the Arizona Native American Producer Success Project 7. We identified 10 gardeners to participate in our backyard gardening project. Their interest is fundamental to engage in a fun and physical experience of producing vegetables to share at their family's table and realize the blessings of their hard work and positive energy. Due to the coronavirus pandemic, we resorted to alternative means of communication to reach out to producers on the Navajo Nation. One of many activities, working with the backyard gardeners by email, postal mail, and cellular communications without contact. Gardeners are working independently to grow their produce. While gardens have already been planted, produce production and harvesting is currently ongoing. Although it is late in the season, we have put together a basic record-keeping booklet. This booklet will be obtained by email per your request. There are 2 parts to this booklet. The first will provide guidance on record keeping while it is best to begin in early spring. The purpose of record keeping provides you a journal of your accomplishments, the challenges and successes. It helps you to make changes or keep same methods for the next year. An outline is attached. Easy to understand examples are provided to help you record on forms provided. The second part of the basic record keeping has 7 different literatures. The information relates to gardening with resource links to obtain more information. So Sharon and I are going to tag team this, so I will be covering farm map. Draw a map of your field, include measurements. The diagram should include a layout of how you plant in your garden. Notice if you're using drip irrigation, where your water storage will be placed. Visually notice your surroundings, building structures, livestock corrals, barns, trees, water trails and utilities, water lines, gas lines, and electric power lines. So here's a map that I found on the internet, just kind of giving you an idea. We have a home there, and then we have 3 different beds. They're calling it island beds, 1, 2, and 3. So these are all near the homes. If you notice, they also have like a north windbreak and a west windbreak. Those are things that us as natives don't really think about, but it's a good thing to put as part of our planning when we do our gardening. And then they even have a new shade tree, a red oak, and then they have several other different trees, ash trees and silver maple trees. So here's another form, a field information. The field information has 2 parts. The first part consists of soil testing and your water source and how much is used. how much water is used for your produce. It is important to test your soil in the spring and in the fall. Soil testing kits are available in stores that sell plants. The nutrients in the soil provide a healthy crop. If you notice problems, it will be that you are lacking nitrogen, phosphorus, potash, or even acidity, alkalinity, which are parts of the test kits made available. After testing your soil, note the results on your field information form. The soil testing above was made at a newly constructed garden, and from what it looks like, the phosphorus test was sufficient, which is the first one in blue. The second one is the nitrogen, which is deficient. And then your K test, potash, is adequate. And then your alkaline is neutral. This kit can be found at Home Depot for $13 or a little bit more. And also know where your water source is coming from. Could it be NTUA, the spring rainwater harvesting? How much water is used to water your plants? The amount of water being used could provide you alternative means on possibly installing a drip line irrigation, or your soil is draining and not providing moisture needed to grow plants. Amending the soil may be needed. So using my arrow here, this is part of the field information form that will be attached as if you wanted to have us send you a copy. So we have a date, a soil testing and soil amendment column, water source, where did you get your water? So here in our area, we have a spring called Tonale, and two 50-gallon barrels were used to bring water. And then NTUA is also a source, and there's a storage tank, 210-gallon barrel. So those are just some examples that I provided. Equipment inventory. This is a good time to take an inventory of all your gardening equipment. Be sure to include all new purchases. It is a good idea to store all receipts of garden-related purchases in a shoebox. If you use Schedule F tax reporting, receipts will justify your expenses. Proper care of your equipment prolongs its usefulness. Do not leave under the sun for long periods of time. Store your equipment in a dry location like a storage shed. So here's another example coming off our equipment inventory form. You have your date. 2 hose were purchased in May of 2003. Don't know what they were purchased for, the price, but 15 years if you take care of your tools. The same for rakes that were already here. You might just note it and say, well, even though it might have been purchased in 2015, how long do you think the useful life would be? Then 3 Maddox. These are tools that you use for doing your own holes for corn, and 3 of them were located. So they were purchased about 2015 and should last more than 20 years. And then new garden hose were purchased since the top ones were purchased in 2003, and that exceeds the 15 years of useful life. So you know that they're probably pretty old if used continuously. They run about $19.96, so 20 years. They have a 15-year warranty. So these are just examples I'm sharing with you, and Sharon will cover activity log.
Okay, hello all. Thank you for joining us. Activity log. Every work task in your garden, note it on your activity log beginning in the early spring. Who helped you with the fencing construction or repairs, removing weeds, laying out irrigation lines, soil amendment, planting, watering, harvesting, etc. Did you use any fuel operated equipment? Note that too. So here on the activity log, you have your date, your activity, equipment used, hours, none used, materials used, labor hours, and comments. So this is an example that I have put together with my garden, and it's constructing a garden. We measured it at 50 feet by 45 feet with a 5-foot gate opening. We used T-posts. The T-posts was measured at 7 feet apart, pounded into the ground, used a shovel to clear weeds in the garden and to dig holes for gate posts. Equipment used, which would be like maybe a tiller or maybe an auger to make your holes, but we didn't use any of that, so I put there none used. And then the material used is a shovel, 30 T-posts, T-post pounder, 100-foot measuring tape, 9 stakes and string to measure out your garden. Stake, you use the stakes and the string to, line it all out. And then a 4x4 by 8 posts for gate entry. So the 4x4 by 8 post is used to help your, the opening of your gate. When you build your gate, the posts, you attach that gate to these posts and it'll open and close. There we have the labor hours, which was 8 hours. On that day, it was a hot day, and we decided, my husband and I, Tom, decided to name our garden COVID-19 because, this is during the time when we were all told to stay at home, and then 8 o'clock was a curfew hour, so everyone was going home, before 8 o'clock, and then the weekends were on lockdown. So this happened. I constructed my garden on May 15th, which was on a Friday. So that left like Saturday and Sunday, we were on lockdown. So, we had the time to work on this garden. So we decided to, since the lockdown happened, we only worked 8 hours that day, and then the rest of the weekend. The next one would be chemical and pesticide treatment. There are a variety of chemicals that can be applied during gardening to kill or prevent unwanted insects or weeds. Some solutions can be organic or homemade. This should be documented. When did you apply treatment? Record the brand used, what you used it for, how much, and the main ingredient. This can be recorded on the field information sheet. We have always used a manual method of pulling weeds or hoeing to rid of weeds in the early spring and throughout the growing and harvesting of produce production. So here we have the field information sheet, and on that one you'll put the date, soil testing and soil amendments, the water source, which would it be rainwater, in your rainwater harvesting barrel, or would it be NTUA water or artesian well water, that you would put there. And then the water used, the amount and gallons, fertilizer used, limestone, chemicals or pesticide label. The limestone, let me go back to that, would be like gypsum if you are using, if your soil is uh, hard and like clay soil. Sometimes it's hard to, work with that soil. In Sheep Springs, I used because clay was so hard, it was hard to even plant. And then using NTUA water on that makes it even harder. It makes it like a cement. So you have to really know how much mountain dirt or, sand you would use, and mixture of compost. And so, that clay, you have to really work down on that fertilizer, on fertilizing the clay, because it's hard to work with. And then next is the chemical or pesticide label. If you're going to use chemicals on, usually it's unwanted weeds, maybe pests like insects, for keeping them off your plants. I never use chemicals or pesticides, but some people do, and I'm always garden safe, so I don't use any chemicals on my garden. But Piper, how do you say it? Piperloni bauxite. I don't know what that is. I never used that. Um, Applicable in rate how much? Spray 2 tablespoons. And then first time application, and that's, I guess that chemical there is used for aphids and squash. A lot of the pesticides, or not pesticides, but for treating pesticides, I have an organic solution, which is just water mixed with red peppers, dish soap, because a lot of these insects don't like the taste of dish soap. They don't like the taste of red peppers. So those are my organic solutions to using, treatment for my organic garden. My grandpa also used smoking on the plants down. So what we used to do was get a tin can bucket, the coffee can buckets. They used to have them in tin cans. And what we did was put at the bottom of that bucket paper and twigs and horse manure. And he would break up all these horse manure. We collect it for him, and then he breaks them up and put them into the tin bucket, and then put a wire, probably like a 2-foot, 3-foot wire on that bucket, and we'd swing it back and forth after he would light the paper, and it would start burning the twigs, and then that, smokes the horse manure, and we would go up and down to every plant, covering it with smoke. And the reason for that was, I guess he told us that the insects that try to eat the plants smell that smoke, and when they smell the smoke, it's a cause of danger, that there's a fire somewhere. So they don't bother the plant, they won't eat it. So that was his theory on pesticide and treatments. And then for the prairie dog infestation, we had a lot of that in our garden. And so what he would do was smoke out the hole where the prairie dogs had dug. We would stick the dead branches of the sagebrush into those holes, and he would light it on fire. So he'd have each one of us look for the holes where the prairie dogs were coming in, and sit at those holes and with a club. And once, he would say, once it's smoking it out, they're going to start running out of those holes. Once you see their head, he used to tell us to club them. So that was our way of getting rid of prairie dogs, which was, interesting because, um, you know, being a youngster and doing that, we would like challenge each other. Hey, I got 5. Hey, I got 3. And then there was a payment from our grandpa. So, you know, if your kids want something to do and you have an infestation of prairie dogs, that's something you could think about on getting rid of them. Okay, and the next one is um, the next slide is pesticide details. We are referring to fill information sheet. The safe product that we used was Garden Safe. It is a spray ready to use on evergreens, flowers, or mementos, perennials, shrubs. It is used outside around your home, lawn. It is a non-organic, used on ants, aphids, beetles, caterpillars, earwigs, flies, mosquitoes, rats, spiders, ticks, and worms. It is peperonial botoxide is the active ingredient, a 24-ounce bottle, and it's not safe for edibles or your pets. So,
Fertilizer treatment. This application is used to improve the growth of healthy produce. Document how much is used, the brand name, and why you applied it on the fill information sheet. Some examples of fertilizers are cow manure, alfalfa meal, limestone, and kelp. So I didn't really know what limestone was about. So I found this video. I think will answer a lot of questions, and I thought it was pretty informational. So I want to share that with you.
Why feed plants? Simple. Proper nutrition means better growth, better color, bigger blooms, and greater resistance to disease and environmental stress. It's like this. Plants need 19 nutrients to grow strong and healthy. 3 of these come from air and water. Plants absorb the other 16 through their roots from the soil. Applying fertilizer regularly ensures that these nutrients are there in a form the plant can use. Of these 16 nutrients, there are 3 primary nutrients, which means they are needed in the greatest quantities. The first is nitrogen, for growth and dark green color. The second is phosphorus, or phosphate, for root development and flowering. And the third is potassium, or potash, to make plants more hardy and disease resistant. These 3 nutrients make up the fertilizer grade you see listed on labels. The numbers show percent by weight of each nutrient. In this example, plant tone has 5% nitrogen, 3% phosphorus, and 3% potassium. The label also lists other nutrients in the product and the ingredients that provide them. A few things to remember. Bigger NPK numbers aren't better. Bigger numbers are more likely to cause burning or dehydration of your plant. Plus, what doesn't get used by plants leaches away from the soil. Be sure to pay attention to the amount of slow-release nitrogen. In this case, 3 of the 5% is slow release. That's 60%. The more slow release, the longer it will last, and the less often you'll need to apply it. Why organic? Speaking of plant food, there are basically 2 types: natural organic and synthetic. Natural organics are derived from plants, animals, or mineral ingredients that have not been chemically altered. Synthetic means the ingredients were chemically altered or reacted to form a new material. Some synthetics are water soluble. That means they dissolve in water and release nutrients immediately. Others are controlled release. They release their nutrients more slowly over time. In the end, all plant foods deliver nutrients in the same form, but it's the way they do it that makes natural organic plant foods preferable. The nutrients in natural organics need to be digested by microbes in the soil, so the plant can use them. This process has many benefits. 1. It creates a byproduct called humus that helps improve soil so it can hold the proper balance of air, water, and nutrients. 2, it releases nutrients over several months as the plant needs them, so you don't need to feed as often. 3, it minimizes the potential for nutrients to leach out of the soil. 4, it won't burn plants because the ingredients are extremely low in salts. 5, and best of all, natural organics are safe to use around kids and pets. There's nothing hazardous or toxic. Here's a quick review. Why feed? Plants need to absorb 16 nutrients from the soil. Applying fertilizer is the best way to ensure the plant gets them. Benefits include better growth, color, blooms, and stress resistance. Why organics? They improve the soil. They're long-lasting, they won't burn or leach away, and they're safe for kids, pets, and the environment. Thanks for watching Fertilizer 101. Good luck, and don't forget to watch our other videos.
So harvest records. Initially, seeds planted will determine the yields of your harvest. Make note of the amount of seeds you put in each hill. Where did you obtain the seeds from? And each time you collect from your garden, what produce was picked and how did you make use of it? Did you cook it, share it with the neighbors, store it for later by blanching and freezing, canning or hydrating your produce? Did you sell it? This record keeping will help to determine the yield and quality of seeds. A determining factor for seed saving. Note this in comments for your reference on your harvest record form. So here's the harvest record form that we have that will be enclosed as part of the booklet. Planting or harvest date, number of seeds per hill, where did you obtain the seeds from, amount harvested, how did you make use of it, if so, how much, and comments. So this year I planted, but I didn't get a harvest at all. However, in the past, I could just share what I've learned from it. So we would normally put like 10 seeds of white corn. And if you look at 14 hills, you would go down where you have harvested on the amount of ears you take off your corn. Heirloom seeds for dryland farming. We've always had seeds, not just from our own corn, but there's times where we knew of other neighbors who also did dryland farming and we would trade our corn. So out of the 14 hills, we were able to collect 108 ears of corn and we used it for kneel down bread. So we were able to get maybe about 35 breads baked. Out of the 35, we would freeze a portion and then even picking another 10 ears and roasting it over the coals and eating it. Maybe another 35 ears of corn, boiling it. And then, and most of the time, the boiled ears would probably be like a hot oven, or either just drying it so that you could use it again for the next time, or you could also just dry off the cob, just dry the corn and then save it for next year's planting, especially if you have like really good seeds from your corn, so you're able to use it again the following year. I guess another note you can include in this is for each hill, you have like a corn stalk. How many ears of corn did you average on each stalk? I know that when we did our dryland farming where we had really good seasons, we would average anywhere from maybe 10 to like 13 ears of corn per stalk. So those are good notes to add. Resources. In this booklet that we're going to share with you, it has some resources in the back, and each literature, some of them are from 1 page to 3 pages, but I just wanted to share with you maybe some of the a few comments taken from each of those resources to sort of give you an idea of what's included. So one of the document is seed selection Why is it important during planting season? So good harvest starts with good seed selection. Good quality seeds are essential for the growth of strong and healthy crop, which can resist diseases or even drought. And then we had also included a soil health management system literature with NRCS. And in there, one of the things that they cover is conservation crop rotation, increasing nutrient cycle, holds soil moisture, conserves water, decreases use of pesticides. So that document is 2 pages. So this is just one of the things that will be shared should you request this document. And then what is photosynthesis? To perform photosynthesis, plants need 3 things: carbon dioxide, water, and sunlight. So hopefully these comments will make you want to say, hey, you know, I want to see this booklet and read more about it. So resources are included in this document. Soil nutrients, plants that don't get P, phosphorus, P stands for phosphorus, have spiny, thin stems that are weak. Their growth is stunted and shortened, and the older leaves turn dark bluish green. So it gives you the plants and how they grow and how you can determine whether nutrients, what you're lacking. So that document helps with that. And then we have drip irrigation. What is an advantage for drip irrigation? Reduces weed growth. It is specifically laced through the plants that you want to water, and due to the nature of the system, it's hard for that water to stray very far. So that's a good point, and that's only a small part of the literature that we're sharing. And then weed and pest management provided by NRCS. Mulching minimizes weed growth by physically preventing the germination of weed seeds, cutting off access to light and warmer temperatures. So, and then also water conservation tips. And I thought this was pretty interesting. A serving of poultry costs about 90 gallons of water to produce. There are also water costs embedded in the transportation of food. A gallon of gasoline takes nearly 13 gallons of water to produce. So consider how far you have to travel for your food. Buy local and cut your water footprint. So that concludes our presentation. My email is here, Sadie Lister, that's me. My cell number is 928-637-5633. And then Sharon's phone number is 505-427-4262. Now we also have a New Mexico NAPS 6 program. So Jana Johnson and Jesse Jim, they're coordinating activities for New Mexico. And of course, our fearless leader, Michael Patrick, he's part of our project as well, and he works for the New Mexico State Cooperative Extension Program. Do we have any questions for Sharon or myself? You can unmute yourself.
I had a question.
Go ahead, Jesse.
So you mentioned the limestone. Can you use the limestone that's found in Home Depot for building, or is there a certain lime?
Well, when I looked up limestone, and that video was from Home Depot, so they provide that ingredient is a part of that fertilizer.
Okay, so it's located in the garden section?
Yeah.
Because I know they do have it in the garden section, and then they have it next to the concrete.
Yeah, you will find it in the garden section.
Okay, thank you.
So because we don't have any more questions, we must have done a good job. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. We welcome your comments so that we may provide resources of interest to better farming and ranching methods. We will continue to host webinars, post information on Facebook relating to upcoming events, including monthly newsletters, videos, and then provide USDA resources, links, and then also all the webinars that are recorded will also be shared on Facebook. So find us, Arizona NAPS 7, that's where we're at. And then the same for New Mexico, will be NAPS 6. So if you wanted to look to see what New Mexico is doing, they share a lot of stuff as well. And then we have a website that we will be, that we're working on now. So we'll be able to provide all this information on the website as well when we are all ready to post it. So thank you, everybody. Thanks, Sharon.
Sadie, this is Michael. Sadie?
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Can you hear? I have a comment to make. I want to congratulate you and Sharon on a great presentation. And I like your use of, you know, photos of products and the video. Very, very helpful to get a better feel for how to actually apply much of what you were talking about. And then sharing with us portions of the forms that folks are going to be using, I thought was a great idea, because it's just easier to see the application than to kind of imagine it. So nice job, ladies. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. So if you
Thank
would
you,
like
Michael.
a copy of our booklet, just email me. I will be happy to send it to you. And Nate likes the idea of using smoke to deter pests. Thanks, Nate. Thanks, Daryl, for joining us.
Thank you, Nate.
All right, guys, this concludes our webinar for today. Thank you for logging on. We'll put it into a video and share it on Facebook and YouTube, guys. We have YouTube now too, so I need to get used to that one, but we do have a YouTube page, so we'll post the information on Facebook so you can get on YouTube as well. Thank you. Hug on it.